Speaking of how you build up to these things, every single part of the performance is designed to maximize the impact of this moment. In the staging, as she builds up to it and she's singing the ascending notes that lead up to it, each one is accompanied by a flashing camera shot from a different angle of Yolanda and her dancers. And then, and it is genuinely unusual to say this in Eurovision, to emphasize it to maximum effect, the Portuguese delegation have used a camera effect that I've never seen used in this way before. As she hits the note, the aspect ratio of the camera changes. It narrows to a 1:1 ratio. This is a weird trick and it's risky, but it really works in this instance. It focuses us in on Yolanda by constricting the viewable space to just her and nothing else. From this point on, for the rest of the performance, you do not see the dancers. The aspect ratio shrinking marks their departure. The incredible thing was, when I initially started researching this, I kind of was not seeing the wood for the trees because I was so focused on this big note. I didn't actually notice the bigger picture, which is this aspect ratio change marks an episodic shift in the song, and it isn't the only one. I think this song is broken up into 3 episodes as such, and I want to explain each one to you. The first 40 seconds are shot in that square aspect ratio. It's close up to Yolanda. There is a lot of eye contact. The stage is tiny because we're so focused in on her face. The only appearance of her dancers in this section is at the very end, and they simply serve to augment the shot. They're not moving around. They're not drawing attention away from Yolanda and her own voice. As we enter the second episode, which is the main body of the song, the aspect ratio widens. The camera pans out, and from this point, up until the big note we talked about, there is not a single close-up shot of Yolanda that lasts more than a second or two. The dancers are active and constantly moving, and they're circling her as if to grow and shrink the stage. They all stay roughly equidistant from her, but the space swells and constricts as they move. Then, as that big note hits, the dancers fall away and the aspect ratio changes again. For the rest of the song, just like that first episode, there is no movement, no rapid camera shots, no dancers at all. Just total focus on Yolanda alone with her voice staring into the camera. The song finishes with the closest of close-ups. As you can probably tell, this is quite a special performance to me, and it's one of my favorite songs of the year. But I found myself struggling to elaborate on what it was that was drawing me in like this, that was making it so powerful. Having done this video and written this script and watched it over and over again, I've realized that this is what it is. It's these stark contrasts, this kind of black and white between these 3 episodes of the song. Those contrasts and the incredible vocal, of course, draw you in right from the start. They emotionally involve you. You feel attached to Yolanda as she is singing the song. By the time you come to the climax, you've been totally under the spell for more than 2 minutes, and because of that, it hits so much harder than it otherwise would. This staging is an absolute textbook example of how to elevate a song, and in my opinion, the song was already pretty incredible. All of this means I don't think they need to change a single thing for Eurovision. I would keep the concept exactly as it is. Adapt it for the Malmö stage, do that, but do not change the core of it, because at the core of it is something really special.
The lyrics are talking about coming out of a very dark time in your life, maybe even a depression. I think it's about a mental health struggle and how she fights against what is keeping her there. So let's look at the lyrics to see that. I felt my body getting heavy. We keep on like this, one and another, one and another, one and another. I'm free falling. I tell you when I get there, I surrender myself here bit by bit. So she's feeling her body getting heavy, and she's free falling. So she's, I think, right in the middle of that very dark time, the mental health struggle in her life. But then she goes on, long strides caught in the match. I want to let go of what left a wound. I asked the mother star to make the day be born again. So now she's looking towards the future. She wants to heal her wounds, and she's looking for a brighter day, so to speak. And then she says, I transformed every verse of me and give give in to courage that still burns, still burns. The light hits my chest and opens up. I am a flame that still burns, that still burns. What I really love about this part of the song is that she has the flame within her and she realizes that she has everything she needs to pull herself out of this dark time in her life within herself. And I really do like that part of the lyrics very much. And then she also sings, "Today I want to prove to myself that I can be whatever I want, to bring together those who love me at a table, to forgive anyone who wanted to see me suffer. They can't fool me." So in this part of the lyrics, you really get the message of self-assurance that she knows what she needs to do and she will do it. She has made a plan to come out of this depression. However, I also think that when she sings about forgiving the people that wanted to see her suffer, and when you think about the flame that burns within her, this might also be about her struggle as an artist to be creative and to let the flame kind of out her creativity, which of course she does with this song. So I have to say that I really love the lyrics of this song. They are repeating themselves a few times, but this kind of adds to this message of self-assurance, I think. So in this case, I don't have a problem with the repetition other than in other Eurovision songs we've seen before. And so in the end, I decided to give 5 out of 5 points for the lyrics. And the fact that the title of the song, Grito, which means scream, isn't even part of the lyrics adds to the artistry of the whole thing. Because of course we have a grito in the vocal performance, but you don't have to mention it in the lyrics for the whole song to make sense. And I love that. But let's talk about the vocal performance because I think it is actually incredible. I heard the studio version and was very impressed with her vocal chops and with the different layers she adds to the performance. But I was a bit worried that she might not be able to translate that in a live performance. But boy, was I wrong, because it is actually better, I think, in the live performance. She adds a few more layers of emotion that we didn't have in the studio version. And if you are able to do that as a singer, I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can give a singer, I think, that they are better live than in studio with all of the production going on. And I also think that the vocal performance is very intricate. She has an incredibly nice and soft vocal tone that I really, really like. But her vocals are also very clear most of the song, and I love that. But she also adds in a bit of melancholy, which of course makes sense with the lyrics. At times the voice is soft and cozy almost, but then there are also parts where she adds angst to it, which also makes sense with the lyrics. And I just love that, this contrast that she manages to put into the song. Very Portuguese in a way as well. Love it. And then you have the climax, of course, that the whole song and also the vocal performance builds towards the scream, the grito. And the beginning of the scream is very clear, but then she switches it to a more almost distorted raspiness, which really shows the whole emotion of the song and the angstiness. And I mean, listen to it again. The scream is just the best part of the song. And so it makes sense that the song is called Grito. And so overall, I'm giving 5 out of 5 points for the voice as well. Now, the performance, I love, which is the performance of the artist. I love the attitude she has in this song. You really see it in her face that she is trying to find her strength, and I love that. But there's also a lot of emotion and vulnerability you can see in her facial expressions and the way she moves as well. The emotion, the angst she infuses into the song, especially during the climax and after it, is just amazing. And so in the end, I also gave 5 out of 5 points for the performance. Now for the staging, I think the choreo is just amazing and incredible because it fits the melody of the song, but it also tells a story. I think the backing dancers are supposed to be the demons that are trying to hold her back, trying to pull her back, and they just add a lot of visual impact to this performance, I do think, because when she does the scream, which is the climax of the song, and it is to me almost a scream of liberation, of getting rid of all the negative thoughts. They are falling away and she is there alone. And also the ratio of the screen changes back to her and the focus is on her. And so she has kind of overcome her demons. And I love that part of the staging. I also think that the staging is visually very impactful because they are all in white and you have the background changing from darker colors to white again. And that also kind of tells the story of the song. And so in the end, it creates an interesting visual atmosphere as well. And so I couldn't do anything but give it this 5 points for the staging as well. Now, you notice already that I quite like the entry, but let's also talk about the song, the most important part of a Eurovision entry, of course. I think that this song is a masterpiece. And it kind of clicked for me a few days ago when I saw the performance. As I said, I do think that the performance adds a lot to understanding the song. I love the way the song continuously builds towards this climax, the scream. With the instrumentation, with the vocal performance, it starts as an a cappella with the focus on her voice. Then some guitars come in, and then later on you have the beat, a very slow beat, but it is a beat, and it is partly made up of strings as well, which adds an interesting layer to it all. And then you also have the choir effect later on with the backing singers coming in. And then you have the Grito, which is the climax of the song and makes everything make sense in a way. What is it building towards? It is building towards the scream. And that is just amazing to me. Also, the fact that it builds so slowly and that it takes its time makes the impact of the climax even better and even more impressive. And I have goosebumps when I listen to the song and the scream comes along. At the beginning, it is also a bit like a berceuse, like a lullaby. You're kind of rocked back and forth by the melody of the song. But what makes this song distinct from other artsy entries like this is that it also manages to be really, really catchy with the chorus and makes it a nice song to listen to as well. And it stays in your head. And that is just the perfect combination for Eurovision for me personally, because obviously this is my personal rating. The song also creates an interesting atmosphere. It's spellbinding, mesmerizing, and cozy at the same time. And I mean, I just love it. And I gave the song 5 points as well. The song counts 3 times, the staging twice, even though in this case it doesn't really matter because we have full 5 points for the Portuguese entry, Yolanda and Grito. And obrigado, Portugal, for this wonderful, wonderful entry. You have really done it again. You do your